ICA has identified unauthorized attempts to change residential addresses registered with ICA via our electronic change of address, or in short, ECOA service. The purpose of this session is really to explain to media our findings and the action we are taking. So under the National Registration Act, all NRC holders must report changes in their residential address to ICA within 28 days. And as part of our digitalization efforts over the last few years, which we have been updating the media from time to time, we introduced the electronic change of address in 2020. So with these services, Singapore citizens, permanent residents who reside locally or overseas can report a change of address to ICA online without them having to physically come down to ICA, or in the past, if you remember, they have to go down to the nearest MPP to make the changes. So I refer now to the slides on the screen on how the change of address work. So first, applicants can access the ECOA services on our website or via our My ICA app using their singpass account. They can apply for the changes under any one of the three modules, under myself, or to change myself and my family members, or others. After submitting their applications, the applicants will then receive a unique PIN by mail to their new address. And then they will use this PIN to verify their address online before the changes are finally effective. Of course, they will also receive a sticker of their new address which they can paste on their NRIC. So the first one under my, can you go back one more slide? Yeah, so I just go through the three modules so you better understand how the module works. So under myself module is quite straightforward. Any one of you log on to your the module via your singpass, you can go ahead and change your own address. Under the myself and my family members module, it's quite similar to the myself module. So let's say if you you have moved house, you want to change the address for yourself, your children, and your wife, you can go in, log into your singpass, key in the NRIC and date of issue of your family members, then all of you can change the address at one go. And in order to do that, you must change your address at the same time. You cannot just go into the module and only change your family member's address without changing your own. So that is the myself and my family members module. Then we also, back in 2020, introduced the others module. The others modules was primarily introduced for the less digitally savvy, for example, nursing home. You know, when residents either transfer to nursing home or switch between homes, and then they need to update their address, the nursing home staff can then help them to register. Or also for those without access to singpass, they can then use this module to register or change of their address. How this works is that the person whose address need to be changed can approach a proxy. The proxy will then key in, to log in using their singpass to log in into the module, and then they will key in the NRIC number and the date of issue of the person whom the address is supposed to be changed. And then with that, ICA will receive the notification. Then we will send a PIN mailer to the new address of the person whose address is being changed. And then from there, the proxy can use the PIN mailer to update online and effect the change. So broadly, that's how it works. So for example, I use the nursing home as an example. The nursing home staff will then go to the online portal, key in the NRIC number and date of issue of the residents. Once they get it through ICA, and we will then issue a PIN mailer to the nursing home. The nursing home staff can then take the PIN mailer and update. You go to your online and effect that this address has been changed, then you'll be updated online, and then we will at the same time send a sticker to the nursing home for them to paste a sticker onto the NRIC of the residents. So just to give you an example of the nursing home so that you better understand broadly how under the others module work for this particular module. So altogether, every month we have close to about 20,000 ECOA transactions. Of this 20,000, about 900 Singapore residents who changed their addresses via the others module. Then from September 2024, ICA started investigating cases of unauthorized changes of residential address. Initially, there were only a few cases that appeared unconnected, but more cases surfaced. And by late December 2024, our investigation actually uncovered how the unauthorized changes of residential address were effected and what they were used for. And we found so far about 20 unauthorized attempts to change address, out of which 75 of them were successful in changing the residential address of another person. And based on our investigation, the perpetrators probably had used stolen or compromised singpass account to change the residential address of the victims through the other modules of the ECOA services. In order to do so, they will have to first be able to acquire both the NRIC number and the date of issue of the NRIC of the victims, and to input these details into our ECOA services. The ECOA services, as I explained here, would then send a verification PIN mailer to the registered new residential address set by the perpetrator, and he could then access the mailer to confirm the change of address. And for some of the cases we encounter, once the registered address of the victim has been changed, and then some were used to set a new password of the victim's SingPass account. This was done by requesting SingPass services to mail a new PIN to the new registered residential address set by the perpetrator. And it is likely that the perpetrator are then using stolen or compromised SingPass accounts and letterbox of third party, because in order for them to complete the whole process, they must be in a position to be able to receive the physical PIN mailer in the new registered address. And based on our investigation, likely they are doing this to generate more Muse account to use for scam and other cyber crimes. So knowing this, what has ICA done? We have temporarily disabled our ECOA services today to prevent further abuse of the services, and also allow us to implement additional service security measures. I think one such measure would be the integration of face verification technology into the SingPass login, so that even if they have a compromised SingPass of another person, they will not be able to use that SingPass to access the module to effect the change of address. We will conduct a further review the next 2 days, and we'll try to bring back up the service by 14 January on the Thursday. But the others module will likely remain unavailable for the time being until we are able to put in place further measures over and above the facial recognition for SingPass. So members of the public who require a change in their residential address can perform their transaction when the services resume, hopefully by 14 January. And for those who have no SingPass or require a proxy assistant to change their address, they can come down to ICA building for assistance. And ICA also in the process of contacting the affected individual. We will help them to replace their NRIC with a new date of issue and rectify their addresses. And we are also working with GovTech to reset their SingPass account, which could have been compromised. At the same time, we also wanted to use today's press conference to advise the public to check their registered address through our My ICA app, and then if there's any inaccuracy to report to ICA immediately, so that we can follow up with them accordingly. Yeah. At the same time, we also like to apologize for any inconvenience caused as we work to reinforce the security of our ECOA services. Yeah. Thank you. I think we can take questions. Yeah, yes. Do we have a mic for him? And someone? Yeah.
Test. Mic test. This is Mohammed from CNA broadcast. I'm hoping to just check. You mentioned that public reports initiated the investigation. Could you shed more light as to what entailed in these reports, and how many were there initially at the outset? And in December, also there were 80 that were figured out. What transpired between December to January for you to finally decide to cut it off in January rather than in December when you figured it out? I should just go through all my questions, right? Okay. How does an unauthorized change of address affect the victims? And also hoping to check what additional measures are done to catch the perpetrators, perhaps. Is this also an issue solely because of compromised SingPass accounts, or is there a system glitch on ICA's part? Yeah, it's how to really remedy at this point.
So maybe I address the first question. When we first, later we will issue also the press release, which also explained the sequence of events. So when we first received the reportings by a member of public who suspect their address could be changed. That's when we initiated the investigation. Initially, when we started in September, it was periodic cases, one or two. Then as we investigate further, we bring in the suspects, and then we do the investigation. We realize there could be more people who are affected. And this takes quite some time because besides our own investigation findings, there are also victims who come forward either to ICA or they lodge a police report, or some of them reported directly to the National Digital Identity outfit, because some of them, they check their singpass and they realize their address has been changed. So there's quite a fair bit of some of these investigation that we need to do. By the time we understand the extent and the severity of the issue, we decided that we need to move and weigh out what are the options available. That's why we had our press conference today to give the media an explanation of what had transpired and what are some of the actions that we have taken. And then on the issue of impact, so all these cases will be currently being investigated by the police. Often, there are some of those things that the perpetrator could do is mainly once they change the address, to apply to singpass for change of the password, because they already have the NRIC number of the victim. So they apply for change of password, then the new PIN of the singpass will be mailed to the new address which they have changed. Then once they get control of the singpass, they can do some of the various transactions that we are used to doing with singpass. So that is the impact in terms of what happened when their address is being compromised. And then on the third point, our fellow home team agency, SPF, are currently investigating the cases. What I want to make it very clear is that we will come down hard on the perpetrator. We have some sort of suspect, but I think I will let the police investigate, because I think once they have a clearer updates on the investigation, I'm sure they will give the media a further update on what are some of these, what transpired and what are the action that we're going to take against all these perpetrators. I think that's your three questions. Was there one more? The last one, I think I can't. Yeah. There's no system glitch. Yeah, so we are quite clear that this is not an issue about system glitch. It's really an issue about when we designed the digital services 2020 to provide convenience to members of public, but somehow in recent months, we detected a new modus operandi of people trying to make use of the ECOA to fraudulently change the address of another person, and in the event, and as a result, to seek control of their singpass for other criminal activities, which is why we decided to act now quite decisively.
Hi, sir. This is Anjali from the Straits Times. May I check if there's any indication yet of whether these are local or foreign actors, whether you can speak on that yet? I'm sure okay. SPF is determining that, but can you also give us a sense of who these 80 people were? Were they regular Singaporeans? Were they people of interest? Was there a particular demographic or anything? And have they been made aware of what has happened?
So far, I have to caveat so far, based on as far as what we know at this point in time, the perpetrators are likely to be locals. There's no indication that there are foreign actors involved. That's one. Two is that there's also isn't a so-called fixed demographic of the victims, and ICA actually have been in the process of contacting the victim. Maybe I ask my colleague Angie to share the progress in terms of the victims' contact. Yeah.
So ICA have already started to reach out to the affected applicants and also to explain the situation to them and the assistance that we're providing to them. So generally, they are understanding, and they have also asked what should they do next. So we have actually informed them to come down to ICA building and we will render the necessary assistance, giving them a new IC with a new date of issue. Yes.
Hi. Hello. Hi. Chewy from Channel 8. Just a bit of question add on to hers. So for the suspect or the perpetrators, right? Is he able to tell like how many of them right now? Are they same person or have they been caught?
Yeah, I think police investigation is still ongoing. I'm quite sure my police colleague in due course will update you, because I have some understanding of some of their investigation, but not all exactly, because we are speaking now, their investigation is still ongoing. So police will update you once they have clear findings from their investigation. Yeah.
I'm Jun from Singapore. So I just wanted to clarify on the point that just now you made, saying that you all receive a few reports from public initially, and then you'll bring in a few suspects. So I'm just wondering if you can share a bit more of that, like when the victims come to you all, what they report of. I mean, like, how did they find out their address is being changed? And then also on ICAs, but I just wanted to find out on the others option, right? For is there like, I mean, how can one be a proxy? Is it, do they have to prove? Because I've never used the option.
Sure. Yeah.
Do they have to prove that you are a certain relationship with this person, or you can just log in via someone else singpass? And then like whether will these maybe be addressed in the future? Maybe they will consider that in the future the proxy has to be someone that's related or somebody from officially working at the nursing home or something. Yeah.
I missed your first question. When we first brought in a few suspects, when we investigated, that's how we uncovered more the cases. Like I said, actually, we are coordinate very closely with SPF on the investigations. Probably at this point in time, we won't be able to disclose the groups because, like I say, we also don't want to compromise police investigation. But I think, like I said before, I want to emphasize, once police have completed the investigation finding, we will come down hard on the perpetrators. On your second point about others, yes, when we first designed the others module, the thinking really was not to restrict the relationship because in practical terms, it's not easy for us to verify. If we wanted to develop a digital services, then probably if you have to then come down to verify your relationship, and it defeat the purpose of having e-services. So when we design it, we design in the context to allow anyone who has a singpass to be able to register the change of address as a proxy as long as the person has the NRIC and date of issue of the person whom we want to change. And so far, it has been working fine since 2020. Yeah, it's only in recent months that we detected that some of these unauthorized attempts to change the address. Yeah.
Hi, Sigit from CNA Digital. Can I ask how long do you expect the others module to be offline? And I know you mentioned about some of the additional security measures that you are implementing, but are there specific ones that will apply to the others module only? And were there thoughts to disable actually this option for good after this incident?
So at this point in time, we haven't decided yet. At the end of the day, we have to weigh between the security and also providing some convenience to those people who have got no access to SingPass. Offhand, some of the added measures that we're thinking about is OTP option. That means once the proxy has used a SingPass, sign online, key in the NRIC or date of issue, or we may think of if there's other even more suitable identifier besides date of issue, because so far date of issue is fairly uncommon, say even compared to NRIC, and once you change your NRIC, your date of issue actually changes. So two parts. One, we'll think whether are there even better identifier. Two is we may introduce OTP option. That means for the whole transaction to go ahead, the person whom the address is being changed must acknowledge that he or she has asked this proxy to change the address. So these are some of the options we are looking at. The assurance I want to give is that unless we are quite confident we are able to put in place more comprehensive safeguards, we will not bring back on the others modules, at least at this point in time. Then we will have to figure out how can then we help those who have no SingPass access to be able to change their address. So these are some of the issues that we have to think about before we can bring back up, if at all, the other module.
I'm Elise from 8World Digital. Just wanted to ask, because this involves NIRC, so does this relate to the full NIRC being disclosed via BIS file? And then, although probably not because the first case surfaced during September.
So far, based on what I'm finding so far, there's no indication that it is related to the ACRA incident, because for the ACRA portal, the date of issue is not known. So it is not related to the ACRA issue, because in order for the perpetrator to change, they need, one, the NRIC, two, they also need the date of issue. Yeah.
Additional question: what sort of crimes, I suppose, or what other criminal activities can they carry out with this information that they now have, that this compromised information?
They could, for example, use the address to open a register a company, open a bank account. There are some of those things that they could possibly do, but these are also part of the scope of police investigation to understand what are some of the criminal activity they may use with this compromised singpass. Yeah.
Are there any insights to the public on how do they, safeguard their mailboxes or the account from getting compromised or something like that? So, because being from the Indian community newspaper, there are a lot of old people who are unaware of how to take care of their singpass account and mailboxes in particular. So, do you have any points to add on that?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I think by now, I think the government has shared quite a fair bit on what are some of the measures you can take to safeguard your singpass ID and password. Of course, it's not to disclose to other people, and I think it also allows you to reset your password if there's need be. Of course, one good practice, of course, to periodically reset your password. For example, I mean, these are some of the additional safeguard and precautionary measures that all of us can actually take to help to safeguard our singpass accounts. Yeah. That is actually part of the scope of police investigation. They will definitely look into how the singpass account was being compromised so far. I mean, from time to time, you do hear of people also selling their singpass and things like that. So these are also one of the avenue. And if it's indeed such an avenue, then police will take action against the perpetrator. Yeah.
Hoping to also check any guesses as to like how the perpetrators might have accessed their NRIC and date of the NRIC being given in the first place. I mean, you mentioned that right now there's no relation to the BizFile or ACRA portal, but it's just that it's been 4 years until this actually came up, and it just so happened to be very close to the NRIC unmasking situation. So any comment on that?
Often we don't have from our finding, there is no one particular reasons that we have uncovered that it could, the NRIC and DLC could be leaked. But anecdotally, we do come across 1 or 2 cases whereby the victim has let when they borrow money from moneylender, they go photocopy their NRIC. We have come across 1 or 2 cases whereby it's like that. So we really, at this point in time, won't be able to tell exactly. Some it may be due to a variety of reasons, because sometimes for many reasons we do photocopy our ICs for many different transactions. And so there are many ways how this could be leaked, actually. Yeah. The moneylender one, anecdotally, we know 1 or 2 victims. That's how they suspect how their NRIC or their issue could have been leaked. But of course, we can't really tell for sure because police is still investigating the perpetrator. If not, maybe I just want to take the opportunity just to recap the key messages we wanted to highlight today. The first one is that we have uncovered a new modus operandi of unauthorized attempt to change residential address, and we are taking these cases quite seriously, which is why we decided to bring down our services temporarily, put in place additional security measures. And of course, the third one is really to advise the public to check their registered address to make sure that it's correct. And if there's any inaccuracy, to come forward and report to ICA immediately. Thank you very much. Thanks.